What we're looking at here is a Sumerian tablet that actually shows the tree of life, flanked by divine beings. You can see here the Anunnaki on each side. We also see the winged disc, a symbolic reference that the Anunnaki had the power of flight.
In 1849, British archaeologist Austen Henry Leard pulled a clay tablet from the ruins of ancient Nineveh, buried beneath centuries of sand in what is now modern-day Iraq. The tablet was covered in precise wedge-shaped marks, written in cuneiform, the language of the Sumerians, one of the oldest civilizations on Earth. Little did Laird know, this tablet would challenge everything we thought we knew about the moon.
Sumerian tablets are probably one of the oldest form of written record that we have. They've been translated, and they tell exciting stories about how gods intermingled with human beings and actually had a hand in the creation of human beings.
It described the moon not as a natural satellite that formed alongside Earth, but as something far stranger, a manufactured object, an artificial construct brought to Earth's orbit by beings known as the Anunnaki. The Sumerians' ancient records would now offer us a look at something far beyond mere mythology. The idea that the moon might not be a natural celestial body but a tool, placed in orbit for a specific purpose, turns conventional history upside down. The more we learn about these ancient texts, the clearer it becomes that the Sumerians had a much deeper understanding of the moon than we ever thought possible.
Is a clay tablet. As a matter of fact, it is not a real clay tablet, it is a replica, because the real clay tablet has to be on exhibition all the time, and also it's very delicate. We couldn't wave it around in front of the screen and say, look at this, look at that. That would be terribly irresponsible.
A moon that was brought here. For decades, this tablet sat in the British Museum, unnoticed. It wasn't until scholars cracked the cuneiform code that they began to make sense of it. The moon, as described in the text, wasn't a natural phenomenon. It was moved into place by the Anunnaki, a race of beings that the Sumerians believed came from the heavens to Earth. The text goes into more detail, describing chambers inside the moon and a hollow core, something far beyond anything seen in natural moon formation. What's even more intriguing is that the tablet wasn't a work of mythology, but a technical document, a blueprint that described the moon as a tool placed in Earth's orbit for a specific purpose, one we are only beginning to understand. The Sumerians weren't simply observing the moon. They understood it in a much deeper, more technical way. The more they studied the moon, the more they realized that its true nature and purpose were not what we've been led to believe. The tablet in question is part of a collection known as Enuma Anu Enlil, Tablet 63. This series, one of the oldest astronomical texts discovered, details the Sumerians' astronomical observations. While most academic translations focus on their predictions of eclipses, the positions of planets, and the movements of celestial bodies, there's one section in Tablet 63 that's often glossed over. This passage is controversial. It describes the arrival of the moon into Earth's orbit, not as a cosmic accident, but as a deliberate act. The word used for the moon in this passage is kakab, which means vessel or container, not mu, the term for natural celestial bodies like stars. Why use this specific word unless they viewed the moon as a functional object, not a passive celestial body? The passage details the deliberate transportation of the moon, not its formation. This difference in terminology suggests that the moon was not just a passive observer in the sky, but an engineered object with a specific purpose. Zecharia Sitchin's groundbreaking translation. In the 1970s, researcher Zecharia Sitchin became one of the first to bring this interpretation to the forefront. His book, The 12th Planet, argued that the Anunnaki were not mythological gods, but extraterrestrial beings who arrived from a planet called Nibiru. Sitchin's translations of ancient texts, including the Sumerian tablets, sparked controversy from the start. Mainstream scholars dismissed his work, calling it pseudoscience. But Sitchin wasn't just a fringe theorist. He was highly educated, with a background in ancient Hebrew, Aramaic, and other Semitic languages. His research was based on extensive cross-referencing of Sumerian, Akkadian, and Babylonian cuneiform texts, many of which are housed in museums around the world. What he found pointed to a consistent pattern. The Anunnaki, beings from another planet, had arrived on Earth, and they had detailed knowledge of cosmic events. Sitchin's findings were controversial, but the evidence was compelling enough that his theories couldn't be easily dismissed. The more evidence he uncovered, the more it became clear that the Sumerians had knowledge of the moon that no one had previously suspected. What exactly was the purpose of the moon, according to the Sumerians? The text describes the moon not as a passive object, but as an engineered station, deliberately placed in Earth's orbit for observation, resource extraction, and tidal regulation. The Sumerians believed that the moon played an essential role in maintaining Earth's climate and ecosystems. The text mentions that the moon's position was regulated by machinery inside it, something designed to keep it locked in its current position relative to Earth. This suggests that the moon wasn't just a satellite. It was actively managed and positioned with purpose. The Sumerians believed that the moon's purpose went beyond merely illuminating the night sky. It acted as a regulator for Earth's tides, affecting the movement of water and the overall stability of the environment. Some ancient texts even suggest that it helped stabilize Earth's axial tilt, keeping our planet's climate consistent and conducive to life. This challenges the traditional view of the moon as a passive, natural object. The Sumerians' understanding of the moon was far more advanced and purposeful than we have previously acknowledged. They saw the moon not only as a natural body in the sky, but as an integral part of a larger system that maintained balance and harmony on Earth. This perspective radically changes how we view the moon today. The Sumerian text goes on to describe the moon's core as being hollowed out, not in the natural sense, like a volcanic cave, but as if it had been excavated with purpose. The Sumerians used the word sig, meaning to carve or hollow out, repeatedly in this section. This wasn't a natural process. It was a deliberate act. The moon, as described, had been hollowed out, with infrastructure built inside it, an engineered structure, not a natural satellite. Modern science has yet to offer an explanation for why the moon behaves in such an unusual way. But the Sumerian text seems to suggest that it was constructed, not formed by natural forces. The Sumerians' descriptions are chillingly similar to what we might now think of as space stations or orbiting facilities, not a celestial body. What did they know about the moon that we don't? The concept of an artificial hollow moon raises more questions than it answers. How could an ancient civilization have such precise knowledge of celestial engineering? The implications are vast. Could it be that the moon was constructed to serve as a massive observation post or as an intermediary for extraterrestrial visitors? Was it a hub for the Anunnaki, providing them with a vantage point from which they could oversee Earth? This idea has yet to be proven, but it adds a layer of intrigue to the moon's mysterious nature. NASA's moon data. The idea of the moon being hollow isn't as far-fetched as it sounds. In 1969, NASA's Apollo 12 mission conducted an experiment where they deliberately crashed a part of their lunar module into the moon's surface. The goal was to measure seismic activity. What happened next baffled scientists. The moon rang like a bell for over an hour. Seismometers recorded continuous vibrations, much longer than expected. Normally, when a solid object is hit, the vibrations dissipate quickly. But the moon's response was completely different. It behaved like a hollow object. Dr. Yoshio Nakamura, a seismologist who reviewed the Apollo data, confirmed that the seismic waves suggested the moon was either hollow or had a rigid outer shell with a much less dense core. The data showed that the moon might be much more than a natural body, and this aligned with the ancient texts. This was one of the most shocking findings from the Apollo missions, and it raises a lot of questions about the true nature of the moon. If the moon is indeed hollow, or contains a hollow core, what purpose could that serve? This unusual seismic response echoes the ancient knowledge recorded on the Sumerian tablet, and it's one of the many pieces of evidence that challenge our understanding of the moon's true nature. The ringing of the moon like a bell didn't just surprise NASA. It suggested that the moon might be far more than we ever thought. In addition to the seismic data, lunar rock samples brought back by Apollo 14 in 1971 revealed something that shocked scientists. The samples contained processed metals like brass, titanium, and uranium-236, an isotope that doesn't occur naturally. Uranium-236 is a byproduct of nuclear fission, typically found in spent nuclear fuel or reactors. The presence of these materials raised serious questions. How could they be on the moon, a body that scientists believed had no active geological processes for billions of years? The presence of processed metals and radioactive isotopes in these samples pointed to an artificial origin, not a natural one. Dr. Harold Urey, a chemist who analyzed the samples, admitted that the moon's composition was unlike anything found in natural satellite formation. These findings only added to the mystery of the moon's true origins. It was as though the moon was crafted, not born. If you liked this mind-blowing discovery, make sure to like and subscribe for more.